Welcome to Indy's Real Estate Gurus. We're recording today from the Advisors Mortgage Group studio located right here in beautiful, almost downtown, Carmel, Indiana. And I'm Rick Ripma, your hardworking mortgage guy. I've been in the real estate and mortgage business for over 34 years. I've helped over 5,200 folks finance their homes. My team and I believe in custom tailored loans, not the one-size-fits-all approach. Believe there is a best mortgage for you, and we are the team to deliver it.
And I'm Ian Arnold, part of Rick's hardworking mortgage team. I've worked in the financial industry for 15 years, helping customers find the best possible financing. I am an expert in working with you to build your credit and your overall wealth. My passion is helping you build your financial security and your wealth for your whole entire family.
And as we get started, I wanted to remind you that for the most up-to-date information on mortgages or the Indy's real estate market, go to hardworkingmortgageguys.com. That's hardworkingmortgageguys.com or 317-672-1938. That's 317-672-1938. And today we're really excited to have Ray Podesta. You know, I knew that. I like to mispronounce names because it just makes me look good.
Absolutely.
And you're with Stone and Gable Realty, which is part of the High Garden Real Estate?
Absolutely, yeah. So it's Stone and Gable Realty and powered by High Garden Real Estate.
Perfect. Thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it.
I appreciate you having me.
So let's start. How did you grow up here? Did you go to school here? How did you start out before getting into real estate?
Sure. So I grew up in Illinois, so Bloomington, Normal, Illinois. Shout out to my hometown. I went to Indiana University, and I haven't left the state of Indiana since. So go Hoosiers, and I am I've lived in Indiana longer than I have in Illinois.
So now he's an official Hoosier.
I think I'm a Hoosier now. Does that count?
Yeah, it counts with us.
Okay, great. Well, good. That's all I care about. Good.
No, you gave the college money. You've been living here longer. Okay, we'll accept you.
All right, deal.
Yeah, no, wait, did they give you the college, the discount for being in state?
I paid extra for that.
All right, so yeah, you're definitely a Hoosier now. You paid for it. We're letting you in.
So what got you into real estate?
I was in a troubled part of my career where I was working for a corporate company that I was tired of working in the corporate world and wanted to have my own business. And I knew that this was one of the outlets that I could do, and I've seen other people do it, and I thought I'd give it a shot. So
what's gone really well?
It has.
I can tell you, your numbers are huge. You do a great job. The reviews are phenomenal. So we know you're a phenomenal agent. Everybody, you don't get where you are today without being, a guru.
Appreciate that.
Which is why we have you on the show. When you got started, how did you get your business going? Because that sometimes can be a real difficult thing. So what did you do? How did you get going in real estate?
Sure. So my first 9 months, I didn't sell a single house. So it was a very trying time for me. I'm trying to learn the ropes, but it's also encouragement. So if you are getting started in the real estate business, some people just don't sell the home right away, right? Or you just got to have the right connections and learn the right things to how to navigate the business. So when I first started on with Century 21 Sheets, I met a guy named Justin Roberts, and he was very gung-ho, and he got me to just feel the vibe of you got to really get after it. You got to be doing open houses. He says, if you're going to do one, you might as well do 4. And just really put that emphasis on getting your name out there, especially as you're a new agent. And from then, I met Mark Branch, who is my mentor, and through open houses. I did an open house for him. He saw the way I hustled, and I ended up eventually joining his team. And that's where I really took off. He taught me how to fish, basically.
Right.
And that's his MO, and then I just took off from there through his guidance.
So it really helps to have a mentor.
100%.
And to be on a team.
Yes, I believe so. If you're first new to the game, getting in, no experience, it makes sense. Learn from the people that have already been there.
Right.
And it took me a few months to figure that out.
Yeah.
So skip that part. And that might cut out 6 months of your first struggle,
Yeah. I think one of the biggest struggles is you go to any other job and you don't really promote yourself. I mean, like my wife is an accountant. She's not going around, hey, I'm an accountant. Well, the difference in your job and our job is we have to promote ourselves. And I think it does take a transition period and also watching somebody, as you were saying, these mentors are like, hey, you got to sell yourself
Yeah.
and you have to push it. And I think that is one step that I think a lot of people struggle with is being a, what do we call it? A secret agent.
A secret agent.
You
Yeah.
don't, and then that's the first thing they teach is don't be a secret agent. And it's hard. It's hard for me in the beginning, but I think once you do it, you just get used to it. And if you do it the right way, it's received better, I think, than just, I don't know, just constantly talking about sales. I think education is a huge thing. Um, so anyway, yeah.
I just think it's part of the problem with a lot of careers, and at least the sales piece of a career, is that the movies and in TV shows and all that they portray salespeople. I don't believe in an accurate way whatsoever.
Sure.
And so we see that, and so many people go, I don't want to be in sales. I don't want to have to lie to people. Well, guess what? You don't lie to people.
No.
Right?
No.
A good, solid person doesn't. Are there people who lie? Yes, there are.
Yeah.
But the vast majority, and I would say the very successful people, that's not how they do it. And it kind of is one of those things. It's one of my pet peeves. You see it on TV and you think, man, I don't want to be like that. And then people won't go into sales that are phenomenal at it because it's really not. It's a relationship business.
Yes. And I think that's why I've succeeded. I think always in my life, I've been good at relationships. It's just my personality. I think I match well with any personality. There's some that I get along better with than others, but I think once you recognize that it's relationships and education, the rest is just putting your name out there.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the other piece, I think, is the marketing. You got to be good, not in all sales positions, but definitely in real estate, mortgages. You have to be good at getting your name out there. You got to know how to market.
Especially when there's over 11,000 agents, right?
Yes. And you have to know, not only do you have to know how to market, like we just have to market ourselves. You have to know how to market yourself, but also how to market a home.
Yep.
That's got to be another big piece of it. Because you can't, contrary to what some people think, you don't just put a home on what is it called now? This BLC?
The BLC,
the
yeah,
BLC.
the MLS or BLC,
Yeah.
yeah. You don't just put a sign in the yard. There's a little more work to it. Maybe you could get away with it the last year.
I was about to say, you could have done that a couple years ago.
But as this market has shifted, and even, I mean, it's still a very good market. But as the interest rates have risen, I'm sure you guys have seen less application, and it has had some effect to the market. So.
Oh yeah, it's had a big on mortgages. We went down, we normally have a different avenue than a real estate agent because we have refinances and purchases. So it's usually if one's down, the other one's doing okay, and then vice versa. And if both of them are up, we're really doing well, right?
Sure, last couple of years.
But exactly what happened the last couple of years were phenomenal, and then when it changed, it removed both of them. The purchases went way down. Although I on the coaching company I'm with, they were putting out that I guess this is supposed to be the third best purchase market in history. In the last 2 years were like the two best purchase markets, which I don't totally get. I don't know how they're running those numbers because I know there weren't any houses on the market, and if you put your house on the market, it's sold.
Sure.
And I think we're going to get back to that market. That's why I think this is such a great time to buy a house. Because I think it's just before it starts to pick up. Because when rates come back down, which I believe they are, I think that market's going to get back. What do you think will happen if rates come back?
I agree. I mean, I put out a TikTok video early this year saying that I think the rates are going to eventually be in the mid 5s to 6s, and I know the rates are getting raised right now. I think that's affected some of the buyers to still kind of hold still, but I think by the end of the year, it just shows they're getting a hold of the inflation. Things are going to come down. So if it's in your budget, I think you buy now because there's just less competition right now.
Right.
I think there's still enough people on the sideline, but I think once people kind of get the grip on 5% is the norm, not 2.9 and all the numbers that were thrown out that really caused the problem in the market. Because everybody can buy a house at that point, right?
Right.
The budgets on everybody has doubled, or what might have been a smaller budget, now you can afford more, and I think that's what drove the prices and the craziness, I think.
Yeah, and the rates the rates are they're up and down, right? So, it depends on what product and everything else. Rates can be in the 7s, 8% right now. Just depends. Back then, when we had that, it was much lower. But when we were much lower, you had 15, 20, 30, 40 offers sometimes. 50. Yeah. I heard as many as 50. You probably heard, you heard a lot more than I did about it. And so the competition was so great that you paid a lot more for the house.
Sure.
You had a better rate, but you had to pay a lot more for the house. And now if you can get in before that happens again, and then when it does happen again, that means the rates came back down. So if they do come back down, you can refinance, right, and get a better rate. If they don't come down, and they will go up, then you were lucky. You got a better rate, right?
Period.
To me, it's kind of a no-lose situation.
Right. And I think where they're coming from, too, is those that bought 2 years ago, they're sitting on good equity because of the values going up so high and people, overbidding for houses. I think that's just, you got in the equity time right. So I think that's why they probably say it's one of the best times to buy.
Yeah, the equity built was incredible, but
insane.
that's a big deal, and I think most people kind of get that, but if somebody doesn't, they need to talk to us. In fact, how would somebody get a hold of you if they want to talk real estate, Ray? How would they get a hold of you? What's the best way?
So call or text me anytime, 317-538-3226.
And what was that number again? I can't remember.
317-538-3226.
They can text you at like 3 o'clock in the morning.
They can. I've got my Do Not Disturb on. It comes on at 5 a.m., which I'll gladly text you back at 5 a.m.
Does it come back at 5 a.m.?
Yes.
You're an early riser.
I am an early riser. I got 4 days a week. I work out at Orange Theory, and so I'm up at 4:30 every morning, or those mornings. And usually my body's just so used to it by now. When I sleep in, it's like 6 o'clock.
Yeah. I'm the same way. I don't get up that early because my workouts aren't quite that early, but I'm the same way. Once you do that, my wife says, it's Sunday. What are you doing? Well, I'm up. What do you got? I can't sleep anymore.
No, on the flip side of that, about 5 o'clock and on, I'm worthless.
Yeah, get tired, right?
So you get tired and you have to really just dig deep.
Yeah. It's that
because you've been up for a while.
Yeah, that can be tough.
All right. And Rick, how would people get a hold of us?
Go to hardworkingmortgageguys.com. That's hardworkingmortgageguys.com or 317-672-1938. 317-672-1938.
And after the break, we'll find out what is Ray's superpower.
I love superpowers.
Well, even Superman loves superpowers.
Yeah, I know, but I'm hoping he can fly.
All right. Hey, welcome back from the break. We do have Ray here with us. And before we get into what is Ray's superpower, we got to do question of the week.
All right, here we go.
All right. Question of the week is actually sponsored by Rick and Ian. Hey, we are your hardworking mortgage guys. So let us put together a mortgage plan, whether you are looking to purchase a home or if you're looking to refinance or do anything, work to your house. Let us work with you to find out what the best options for you is. Contact us at hardworkingmortgageguys.com. That is hardworkingmortgageguys.com or 317-672-1938.
Well, either.
No, it happens.
Contagious.
All right. So what was your first car?
What was my first car? So it was a 77 Caprice Classic. It was my great-grandparents' car. It had, when I got it, I think it had 46,000 miles on it. I got it in the 90s, so it was like a 20-year-old car with just that few miles. Mint condition. It was a huge boat. I hit a few things, but, it happens, and there really wasn't much damage done to the boat either, so,
Well, back then when they made those cars, they were pretty, besides mechanically, they were pretty indestructible.
Yeah, you could fit a pretty large family. It had the bench seats in it, and you could fit a couple bodies in the trunk too, probably. So,
yeah, that's a big car.
Yeah.
How long did you have it?
All the way through high school, and then I ended up buying something. Fun fact: in college, I bought my own vehicle, but I also rode in Little 500, so I bought a bike. My bike was more than my first car that I bought.
Well, I know what the prices of bicycles are.
Yeah,
I know. I can see that.
So yeah. But anyway. It was an 84 Honda Accord, had rust. It was miserable. It was like $600, but it was paid for and it was mine.
Yeah.
So
now, why'd you get rid of the other car?
It died.
Oh, really?
So it finally was just enough. It was leaking oil. It had
Yeah.
just a bunch of stuff, and it was
But you rode
time
in the
to
little
put her out to
500.
back. I did.
That's pretty awesome.
Yes, back in the day.
How'd you guys do?
The best we did was 10th. So I
Okay.
rode for Cinzano. It was an independent team,
Okay.
and I rode for them for 3 years. I rode for my dorm my first year.
Okay.
So,
So you still do a lot of biking?
no, actually no. I'm
No?
more running than anything
Okay.
at this point. But yeah, yeah, it was a good time.
Okay.
So since you placed 10th, the movie wasn't based off of you.
No,
No,
we did not. We didn't make the highlight reel.
You know, the 10th team had to be in there too.
That's right. That's right.
Win if you race yourself.
That's right.
There is no, so you got to have that.
Well, you always win if you race yourself.
My first year I got
And lose.
31st, so it was a little bit of improvement. You
that
know,
was a big improvement.
so
How many teams?
there's 33, so it's exactly like the Indy 500
Okay, yeah.
qualifying, and you do 11 rows of 3, and yeah.
But you qualified every year. That's a big deal, I got to think.
that is. I don't know how it is now, but there was teams that didn't make it back then.
Yeah.
So
I had all 3 of my boys go through. They all went to IU.
okay,
And I know that was my youngest son. He may have rode in it. I don't remember. Okay, because I didn't go see it, but I don't think he did. But I think he was in a business fraternity. But I think they did do a bike.
Yep.
Now he's huge into bikes. He did an Ironman, so
Okay.
he's really into bicycles. But now he's actually like you. He's into running, and he went from somebody who hated running. Now he loves it. It's his favorite thing to do. He's going to do an ultra marathon this year.
wow, that's amazing. Yeah, I'm to more of just 5Ks, about as far as I'll go now. I used to run a lot. I ran in high school, and I've got a buddy that does Ironman. He's trying to get me to do it. That just sounds miserable.
It looks miserable. We went and watched him. It looks miserable.
Swim that far
Yeah,
to bike, and then I'm good.
Yeah,
I'll stick to my donut dashes.
yeah. I
The
can run
5Ks.
about a foot, maybe 3.
There you go.
Yeah, then
So.
I can walk. So this is my favorite question. So I'm going to ask it. What are your superpowers or superpower? What would you?
I would say my superpower is just to be able to relate to people. I think, and it sounds maybe simple, but some people just aren't people, and I
Right.
think you have to be able to relate to just be honestly successful in anything in life, just this business and just relationships. You have to be able to read people, very empathetic, and I think that goes a long way.
Yeah, I agree. It seems to me like, along with that, probably part of what makes that you really good at that is you listen. A lot of people don't listen anymore. You listen, and so that's how you can't really understand or empathize if you haven't listened to what somebody has to say.
Right. You're just waiting for your turn to talk if you're
Right.
not listening.
What'd you say?
Exactly.
Yeah. We always
Now I feel like I'm talking to my kids.
You can relate to that.
So tell us about your team. Do you have a team?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's a mighty team of one. It is myself. I left Branch Group Realty in August of last year, and I'm just trying to grow it organically at this point. With the market kind of taking a little bit of a shift, I focused more on myself. I do have somebody in the wings in the future coming on. She is working on getting her license, so that'll be fantastic. We won't quite have the big reveal on that yet, but that's the goal, is just to grow organically and really just do the things that Mark did for me and made me successful. And now it's my turn to pay it forward. And I just think in the form of a team, that's a great way to do that. So, but it's just myself right now.
No.
We're working on it though.
So what made you try to choose her? What characteristics stood out to you?
So I worked with her in the past, so I know her work ethic, and the job that it was at Angie's List. So the job that we did there, if you can sell on the phone, I think you can really build relationships anywhere. It's really hard to build a relationship on a phone, especially if you're cold calling, because most people don't want to talk to you. Imagine that, right? So seeing that, I think somebody you got to have a work ethic. You got to be able to hear the word no and be okay with that. And because you'll be surprised you get told no a lot more than you would think. So.
Yeah, mostly you get told no.
Yeah.
But I want to go back because if I remember correctly, you have a really, really cool website that you just built.
We did, yes.
I think it's awesome.
I'm extremely excited
So if
about it.
somebody wanted to go to that website, what would be the address?
It is www.stoneandgable.com, and you have to spell out the word "and."
Okay. And then, so tell us about it.
So I met the company through a Tom Ferry event. They're called Image or Web Image or Agent Image. Sorry, Agent Image is the name of the company, and they specialize in real estate agents.
Okay.
So I looked at a ton of different websites and just picked from each one. I want the main focus to be is you come to my website. Don't go to Zillow. Don't go to realtor.com. Don't go to those nasty 4-letter words. Come to my website.
Right.
Use my website. It's a search engine just like them. And you'll be able to also just get more. I'm going to start blogging, so you'll get more information there and just the education piece. And then you'll see reviews. It's a full meal deal. And it's one-stop shop. You don't have to use the other places.
Yeah, and I think that's a big deal because you're going to be local, which I think is much more valuable for people. Plus, if they have questions, you're available.
I'm right there.
Right.
Yep. It's easy to. There's several ways to contact me through the website.
Yeah. How do you see it benefiting somebody out there looking for houses? How do you see your website's going to benefit them?
I think you can slow play it, or you can contact me right away. So you can look for properties through the search. You can sign up to contact me to have me set up a search, or you can contact me. I just had somebody actually contact me last week. It was my first lead through the website.
Awesome.
I was pretty excited. And we're looking at a home tomorrow. So it just depends. I move at your pace. That's the biggest thing. I'm not the one to pressure you. It's your biggest one of the biggest financial probably decisions you'll ever make. So I go at your pace.
Yeah.
And I think the website provides that.
Yeah. I think the website certainly communicates that. I mean, that's the way I felt when I looked at it. I felt like I thought it was a good representation of you because of how your personality is and everything else. I thought you did a really good job. I love the website, but part of what I loved is I thought it was a real good representation of you and who you are. And I think that will resonate with people who you should be, not everybody should we work with, right?
Correct.
I think people will see it. And those who are that way, then I think you did a phenomenal job.
I
just thought it
appreciate
was
that.
really good.
So when are you going to start your 5K run/walk for your company?
I mean, that's a good question. I don't know. I do have a pretty lofty. We didn't talk about this, but I do have a pretty lofty goal of giving away 500 turkeys this year. So it won't be it won't be a 5K, but I'm working with a couple of buddies, and we're gonna make it happen. And so no 5K yet, but maybe that can coincide. Maybe you got to run the 5K to get the turkey. I don't know, but yeah, it's just things like that. I do want to give back, so I think it's great that it'd be fun to do.
That doesn't sound like giving it away if you have to run 5K, but I think it's a great idea if you want Ian to run 5K. I think that would be right.
Make him earn it.
It wouldn't be too hard.
I mean, the
I used to
donut
do it
dash
all the
is
time.
fun. You should do the donut dash with me.
Yeah.
See, hold on. Then it would become an annual thing. And just think about your brand. I'm telling you.
Yeah,
I'm a
that's
marketing
right.
guru.
That's right.
Look at this.
Let's go.
See, I used to do marathons, so trust me. The funniest thing is anytime you finish, people who've never ran the race, and they'll be like, I can't do this. Well, it's weird. When you finish a race, and I told people this, you'll want to do it again.
Yeah.
As soon as you get finished, even after you run a marathon, you'll be like, man, I want to do that again. Now, 3 days later, you'll be like, no, I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
But as soon as you finish, you'll be like, when can I sign up for your next one? It's a weird feeling. People are like, no. I've had a couple of friends that did it, and they're like, you don't realize I want to do this again. And then 2 days later, they're like, yeah, I don't know. But I'm like, it's a weird feeling.
It's that runner's high. That the endorphins are going and
Yep.
you're rocking. And then as you have to crawl up the stairs later that night, you're like, oh, maybe I don't want to do this again.
I think there must be a little crazy in there.
Right. You have to have just a little bit.
So what is something you're incredibly proud of in your business?
I just think getting to where I've come now, especially just with my story of just, not being my mental health at one point wasn't the best. And so I think coming from where I was mentally, to put myself out of that and then to come through and then to be able to just perform, I'm extremely proud of that, especially not selling anything the first 9 months. I really at some points you start to even doubt yourself. And once you punch through, it was just, yeah. I'm pretty really just to be where I am today, and just to have the amount of clients that I have and to be able to literally do what I love to do every day.
I think it's awesome. Because when people are going through that 9 months, once you're through it, it's easier to look back at it and go, okay. But all the emotions and all the mental issues you go through with that, because you don't know, you're trying to do the right things because obviously you want to make it work. But you don't know because nothing is being rewarded for what you're doing.
Right.
But you still have to stay the course. And that is a difficult thing. Is probably why a lot of people fall out of the business very early. But I think you said one of the best things, and I've heard many agents say it, it's the mentors. You've got to have those mentors. Having a team to support you, people who know what to do, and you've got those type of mentors. I think that is invaluable.
You got to have a roadmap, and everybody's roadmap is different too. So what's good for me, what I like to do, like I like to be in front of the camera now. So like I don't mind doing videos and things like that, but that might not be your forte, and that's okay.
Right.
And that's what I think I love about real estate is because there's more than one way to succeed.
Right. Well, you like the phone too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a big deal.
Hey, Ray, I don't want you to be a secret agent, but since the radio show's coming up towards the end, what's the best way somebody can get a hold of you?
Phone number, you can call or text 317-538-3226, and that's 317-538-3226.
All right, and what was this incredible website?
It's www.stoneandgable.com. Make sure you spell out the word "and."
All right, and Rick, how would they get a hold of us?
You go to hardworkingmortgageguys.com. That's hardworkingmortgageguys.com, or 317-672-1938, 317-672-1938.
All right, and we'll catch you on our podcast at Indy's Real Estate Gurus. Hey, welcome back. And if you're picking up right here from the radio, you chose the right chapter. So we do have Ray here. Been phenomenal information you've given us so far. But I do like to ask this question because I think it speaks very bold and gives a lot of information. What's your most memorable deal?
Is it a deal that actually went to the closing table?
It doesn't
have to be.
No.
Okay.
Whatever you think it's.
I would think my first listing was my most memorable deal. It was just when you're excited. It was somebody that I knew said, "Hey, my neighbor across the street's thinking about selling." And, I was just so excited to go in there. I had my listing agreement, and I had everything, and everything went according to plan, and they signed it, and we agreed on a price. And at the time, I thought the price was really high, but I was way too scared to say anything. And so I just completely let them lead the transaction, and it was a complete nightmare. We had people, I had showings. I had photos. They were with my iPhone, which is a no-no. But, again, I'm new. This was before I met Mark. And it just completely fell apart. We had a couple price reductions. And then at the end of the day, mutual release between us. And I haven't talked to them since. So it was a learning experience. It was definitely a learning experience that you have to have the education piece. You have to let somebody know why you think a home's worth what it is, and help it sell, and have professional pictures.
Yeah, I think it's important. When you've got somebody who's new, that's I think one of the big deals about having mentors and having a team is they make sure that you're following through and you know what to do. But everybody, when they're new, has to learn, and so it's good you went through that. It probably was painful, but you learned a lot from it.
It did, because you were all like, I got this, and I'd already had my commission check spent, and I was like, yes, let's go. And you have to actually sell the house to get paid. So
it has to close, right?
yeah, right.
Yeah.
So
Who knew?
Right? Yeah. And I figured that out later, I guess.
Yeah. It is kind of funny.
So what is a roadblock that you think you've gone through, and how did you overcome it?
As far as just real estate goes,
Yeah.
I would say being told no and just approaching. You just got to be comfortable approaching strangers. You know, they say, you know, you hit up your family and friends, but a lot of your family and friends already have real estate agents. And I'm not going to be mad at you if you're loyal to your real estate agent, because I want my clients to be loyal to me. So I think that's the biggest thing that you have to. Your friends and family just aren't going to come out of the woodwork. You got to start talking to strangers if you want to, and make them your friends and make them your clients. So once I got past that, I think that's the biggest thing. And I, you know, like my first open house, it was crazy. My voice was shaky. I could barely talk to them. I mean, it had to be miserable for the experience for the person coming into the open house. But I think once you get to that point where you're comfortable, sky's the limit.
Yep. And it's weird because I think when I go in some place or I'm meeting somebody and I can tell they're very nervous, it actually makes me more comfortable, because my mode is that I'm trying to help them get more comfortable. So everything I'm doing is trying to make them feel comfortable with what they're doing.
Yeah, yeah.
Especially if I'm comfortable in the situation. Like I spent 11 years selling new homes, right? So if I walk into an open house, I'm very comfortable with that experience because I did it for so long.
Sure.
And I would try, like if I had walked in, I'd have been trying to get you to calm down. It's okay. And that's just.
And I'm sure it was obvious too. I could hear it in my own voice, so surely they could hear it, right?
Maybe not though,
but maybe not. I don't know.
Because you know what you're like. So tell it, in your opinion, what characteristics or traits, should people look for when shopping for a real estate agent?
Communication is number one. You have to be able to communicate. Education comes along with communication. So for me, it's just communicating the entire process. So what to expect. There's so many different forks that it can go down. And I think the more that you can tell people about them and have them experience it before it happens, when it actually happens, they're just used to it. They're like, well, yeah, this is one of those forks you said it might go down. Right. So I think you got to be able to communicate, and you don't have to always be at your phone. So I shut my phone off at 8:45 and it comes back on at 5:00 in the morning. And I haven't gone out of business yet. So I think you just have to set those parameters. Some people probably even have more. But for me, I think you got to be able to communicate. That's the number one thing. And then it's like a relationship. So you got to get along with them. You got to want to be with them. You're making a huge financial decision, and you want somebody that you can, relate to and talk to and feel comfortable around.
And how have you set your business up to make sure that you communicate and make sure that you do those things?
It's just setting the processes in place that you're going through the transaction. You treat everybody like a first-time home buyer, and it might be redundant for some that have been through the process, but you're covering all your bases at that point. And I think it just makes the transaction go smoother, and it helps both sides if everybody's, communicating.
Yeah, communication is king.
Yes.
So many things go wrong because you don't talk.
And I think a lot of mistakes may be made by newer agents, or maybe even some veteran agents, is the other agent across the table from you is not technically on your team, but they want the deal to go through as well. Right. So I think that's the biggest thing, is just building relationships with other agents. I think that's huge. That's going to be able to, because we're all human and all things are human. Feelings get involved, but if you have the relationship with that agent, then we can talk past feelings, and we can talk more black and white.
Yes.
All right. So the work-life balance is huge, and I fully agree with you. You got to be able to shut work off for a little bit, and especially, you do have a family, right?
Yes. So I have 3 kids, and I have a very ambitious wife who works hard. So we have to balance that work life, and her job has taken her away from the home a lot more this last year and a half. So that adjustment for me was huge last year. And I think this year I'm trying to you got to be on a schedule, and you got to stick to a schedule. And last year I just kind of felt sorry for myself, with I guess I got to take care of the kids again because my wife's out of town. And I didn't really, focus on my business as much, I think. And so this year it's like I'm doing that, setting the schedule, but then having time for your kids, because it's important. My kids are 11, 8, and 6, so they are right in those years of they look up to you, they want to be with you, and you can't just be tired and not want to not hang out with them and expect them to be decent human beings.
And give it a few years, then they won't want anything to do with you.
Oh, we're getting close. The 11-year-old's like 1 foot in and 1 foot out. Sometimes he still gives me a hug and a kiss. Sometimes it's like, I don't know. So. But it's all good. I'm preparing myself for that. So the baby's getting a lot more attention. She's 6, but I still call her my baby. But anyway,
Still your baby.
absolutely,
It's the youngest one. It's your baby.
that's right.
Yeah, mine's 30. It'll
There
be
you go.
30 next month.
I'm my mom's baby, and I'll be 45 next
Yeah,
month. So there you
exactly.
go. There
Yeah,
you go.
That's exactly right.
He still calls. I hear it in the office every once in a while. You stole my baby. He's like, stop it, Dad.
That's funny.
I
I'll
would
say the
never
same
say
thing.
that. He'd whoop me. That would be a bad thing. How would you describe your brand?
Loyal, uh, educational. Uh, yeah, I think just I think my biggest thing is just educating people. I think knowing that and then giving back to the community too. Obviously, again, that's another thing I don't like to like talk about, but at the same time, I think it's important. So it's on my website and in the groups that I do give to. But I think it's huge is to give back to the community too. And hopefully my brand is starting to recognize that.
Awesome.
Well, just like a secret agent, you don't want to have your secret ways you help the community either. So
Sure.
I think you need to. Now, there's a difference between over promoting, but I think you still do need to promote that, just because you never know when that one person needs that help out there that could definitely even be listening right now. They can be like, oh, I need to contact him to get a hold of that.
Right.
It's a tough call because you don't want to do the good work to get notice for it. I mean, I think that's the big thing. So I don't promote it. I don't promote mine at all because I just don't want anybody to think that's why I do it. But that's a personal problem.
Right. I agree 100. And I think it's with me too. And it's funny you say that, because the more my wife and I are communicating, and she's definitely a different personality than me. And it's a you problem. It's not the other person problem.
Yes.
And she constantly has to remind me of that.
Yeah. Because they our society today, it's really, they care about that.
Yeah.
And so I don't know about you, but when I see a huge company, promoting, look at all that we did, beating their chest, it turns me off. It doesn't make me think, okay, they're good people. It makes me think they did that to get, promote themselves. Yeah. And so what I have found, and I'm not saying I've done a good job at it because I haven't, but I have found in other areas that there's always a way to do things that doesn't, if you don't want to be a braggart about it, there's always ways to do it. Right.
Yeah.
And still let people know if you think it's of value to them.
Yeah. I think a humble approach for sure, but it's hard in the real estate business, right? I think it's kind of got that vibe, and even just other agents that do that. So, but you do what you can, and you go from there.
And you've done well, so it's all going good.
So, looking towards the future, what are your goals this year besides giving out the turkeys?
Giving out the turkeys for sure. I think just getting back to, so I think a couple years ago, I was very just real estate driven and not family life driven. Last probably year and a half, I've been more like family driven. So like finding that balance, sticking to a schedule, growing my business. I'd like to have at least 3 teammates by the end of the year, but I also know that I'm doing it organically, so that might not happen. So I think I just have to be comfortable with how it happens. But the goal is to grow big. I would love to have a big enough team that Highgarden wants to open up another office or something, in the Center Grove area where I live. That would be awesome. So I'm just kind of putting that thought out there.
If anybody's listening,
if
just
anybody
so they
from
know.
Highgarden might be listening right now.
Yeah. You can send them the show and make them listen. There's more ways. See, again,
But I know
there's always ways.
that's long term, and that's way down the road. But I think you gotta have ambitious goals.
Yeah.
If you're not, then this industry will eat you alive.
Yeah, it's not as easy as people think it is. I think that's for people getting, thinking about getting into it. They just have to know it's a business like any other, and it takes work.
The stat is 87% of agents fail within the first 5 years.
Yeah,
so
crazy.
The odds are not in your favor.
No. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that happens?
It's doing the work. I think you have to. There's just not a fix for it. There's not a magic wand that you can wave and all of a sudden it works. Like maybe some people have more connections than others, and that's great. But you still have to do the work,
Yeah.
and you still have to meet people, and you still have to, and then you have to do a good job too, right?
Right.
Like you have to do a good job. So it's a lot more than just acquiring clients. It's what you do when you actually have them, and protecting their best interests, and doing a good job and making them want to use you again.
What are you talking about? I watch this on TV, and they sell houses left and right.
HGTV is so real.
They sell one house, and it takes them 30 minutes. I mean, come on. But really, I agree. There's really no magic wand. If there is, it's called know exactly what to do and work your tail off.
Yeah.
Right. But nobody thinks work is a magic wand.
Right.
Right.
I agree.
Right. That they don't think
Right.
work is but you have to work.
Yeah.
It's why my tagline, hardworking mortgage guy, because to me, that's one of the foundations of being successful is you have to put the effort forward.
Yeah.
If you don't, then it's really difficult. Some people might succeed without working. I've never met anybody who did. Never.
I haven't. Not for very long.
No. And when you look at somebody and you go, like a new agent looks and they go, wow, look what he's done, right? Look what Ray's done. That's phenomenal.
Sure.
I want to be like Ray. They think a lot of times they never see the effort. They don't see the 9 months of no sales. They don't see the effort you put to start getting sales. They don't see that first sale that fell apart because you were still learning. They never see that.
Right.
And that's what we really want people to understand. It takes a lot of effort. You came out of basically a phone center.
Yeah, office space. Well, from there I worked at Chase for a couple years. So I
Okay.
did. I was a banker for a couple years, and
Okay.
that was kind of like where I realized that the corporate world was
Yeah. But is it Angie's List? Is that where you
yes,
were?
that's where I was before then.
And
Yep.
that was
we would go into the office, and so I was in account management. So they had already had our services, but my job was to sell them more services and increase revenue that
so
way.
you're on the phone a lot. And
Yes.
I think that the reason I wanted to bring that up is I think that's a very big piece of being successful. You have to find who you can call, and you have to get the word out there, and it's a inexpensive way for a new agent to get their name out there. But it's one of those things people don't want to do. They're scared.
And open houses too, I think.
Open houses is huge.
You've got people that are already interested in
Right.
buying. That's
Right.
great. I mean, some of them you'll run into where everybody has an agent, and that's fine. But there's sometimes where they don't, and that's where you find your new
Right.
clients. And I've got several clients that I have great relationships with. One of the this first and second sales I had were both people that I met with open houses, and I keep in contact with them still.
So after the open house, because it's not just the open house. I don't want anybody to get the wrong impression. It's
Sure.
not just the open house.
Absolutely.
Because if you don't do anything after that, then you don't get the client. So what did you do? How did you?
It's follow up. It's an interview. The open house is an interview, and you want to be able to move to the next phase of the interview, and that's them responding to however you get a hold of it. If you get the email, that's a 50-50. You might get a call back, but if you get their phone number, then they're interested, and
Right.
then that's where you build the relationship and the education piece, and then from there, I think that really solidifies everything. So.
A phone number in today's world is everything because it's the text. People may not answer the phone, but they tend to answer their text.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. Like you have to have more than one way to get a hold of them.
Absolutely.
And we always say the phone is first, text is next, and email is third. So, but if you can get them on the phone, then
And it does
eventually
depend on
decline.
the person. I think, and this is just my theory. It doesn't have necessarily any validity, but I think people in my age group tend to be more email.
Yeah.
And I think the younger people tend to be more text.
Yeah.
Not that there
Or
aren't
social media too.
social media.
WhatsApp. I've had somebody contact me through WhatsApp, and that's just weird to me. But I'll do it.
Me too. I had somebody contact me, and I, for the life of me, cannot find them again.
They're like, "This is WhatsApp," and I'm like, "What app?"
Yes.
And they're like, "WhatsApp." Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, the WhatsApp was big for international. Like I used to work with a bunch of foreign people, so they would actually use that because they didn't get extra charges texting family overseas.
Makes sense.
So that's how that one started out.
Okay.
But I do agree with Rick. It's all about, I think, age to a point, because even I graduated in high school in 2003. There wasn't many cell phones. Well, then about 2005, 2006 is when people started texting, and that's when texting. So texting for an older person is not as common as back in the day. It was all about emails.
Sure.
I mean, and now we get so many emails. We're like, let's put that aside. And now that's like third on the list. But I think age does play a somewhat role there.
Yeah, I just know a lot of the people I know that they were email people. Now you get older and they're not very tech savvy at all. But then I think it goes back more to text. Although when my mom was alive, she didn't. I mean, she threw her phone away because it would not quit making noise.
Sure. Yeah. Right.
So there is that too. But we are running out of time, and that's not really all that important. So if somebody needs to get a hold of you, what is the best way if they have any real estate needs, and how would they get you? What's the best way?
Through the telephone
Okay.
or cell phone, I guess. 317-538-3226. And again, that's 317-538-3226.
Awesome. And if you would like to get a hold of Ian or I, it's hardworkingmortgageguys.com. That's hardworkingmortgageguys.com. That's 317-672-1938. 317-672-1938. Now, that is a call. That's not a cell number, so it doesn't take text.
Yeah, but you can call us. We don't mind.
No, we don't mind at all. We actually like the phone.
All right. And just a reminder, if you know any friends, family, or coworkers looking to buy, sell, or refinance, have them just get a hold of Rick or I at hardworkingmortgageguys.com, and we'll be more than happy to help them.
And don't forget to follow us. Thanks a lot. Have a great
Branch
day.
NMLS number 33041. Rick Ripma's NMLS number 664589. Ian Arnold's NMLS number is 1995469. Equal housing opportunity. Some restrictions apply.